What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk About Transformers. Today we're going to be looking at the WFC Kingdom Voyager class Dinobot, which I like Dinobot ever since I was a kid. Not jobby levels of obsession, but I did like him. I think I had, or my friend had, the Transmetal Dinobot figure, but we never had the original. I think they also had the Universe Dinobot figure that I played with, but this is the first actual Beast Wars Dinobot figure I've owned, and I think it's a pretty good figure. Go ahead and take a look at his accessories, or not accessories. His accessories are all right here, so we'll be taking a look at those in robot mode. But his paint, he's got really nice paint on his eyes, the pupil there. His teeth are painted. He's missing his front teeth like the Studio Series Grimlock is, but that's fine. And then he's got this light gray muddy colored paint just all down his body until you get to here. Then it kind of stops, but the front of him has got that nice paint on it. You've got his robot legs there, but I mean, it's not Masterpiece, so it's not going to be covered up as good. And then this area is kind of similar to the Masterpiece, where you've got feet here. The back of his legs have the robot chest detail, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just lots, the skin texture all over is very nice. He's got his one raised claw on the foot. And this is just the best way I found to pose him. His tail does look kind of long and ridiculous a little bit, just being straight like this, but because of what it does, they couldn't really make it have any kind of dynamic turning or anything, and they didn't actually run with their tail as a balance, so it's sticking straight out. Kind of makes sense if he's being imagined as running. The tip of the tail is purple because of the sword, which I think is dumb. They made the sword pink on the Masterpiece, even though it was very clearly silver chrome in the show, and they decided to run with it and make it purpley pink on the toy, which I don't like. I would have preferred them to just make it like silver or black or something. But there he is in Dino mode. As far as articulation, you can open and close his jaw. His jaw open this far, and then you can close it up all the way. He's also got a hinge at the neck for transformation. This doesn't move at all right now because it turns for transformation. He's got a universal at his dino shoulder, so you can get his arm actually up really far and then do the full 360. Then he's got a 90-degree bend at his elbow, and there's a ball joint at his wrist area. And then his hands look wonky because of what they do for transformation. So I didn't like it at first, but I got over it. His hips can move out for transformation mostly. They don't rotate or anything. And then you expose all that stuff. So generally I don't do anything with his legs, but if you wanted to, you can move those out. You can rotate his knee, which is the rotation for the elbow in Dino mode, and then you can move his knee. Or not, it's the rotation for his elbow in robot mode. Then you can move his knee forward and back. You can move his ankle forward and back, and you can rotate his ankle because it's the wrist articulation for robot mode. So he's not a complete brick, but for all intents and purposes, you're basically just going to have him standing here like this. I did see that they just put up an upgrade kit for this guy, and I think it comes with pieces for Primal 2, or it's mostly just weapons for him, but it does give him some hands that are slightly better, so if that comes out and I have the money, maybe I'll look into it. But for now, we'll look into his size comparisons. We've got our Rubik's Cube, which is about the color his tail tip should be. We have our Gormagala statue. We have our Bumblebee. And we have our next Voyager review, which is going to be Inferno. And then after him is going to be the 2 Kingdom leaders I have. So look forward to that. It'll be my first leader class reviews on the channel. So there he is with a fire truck. He's definitely way too big. And that wraps up our size comparisons. Apologize for the shaking and just getting things organized on my table here. So we'll go ahead and we'll go through his transformation and we'll see what he looks like on the other side. Alrighty, to begin transforming Dinobot, we'll just go ahead and close his mouth. And I'm not going to fold his head down yet because we'll do that after we rotate his waist. What I'll do first is just rotate his legs out here at the hips. You can leave this on the entire time, but just so it doesn't fall off embarrassingly or get in my way, I'm going to pop his tail off here. And then we'll go ahead and we'll, his arms have a slot in the hand and a tab on his forearm. So we'll peg those in real quick to get those more stable. And then we'll rotate them up at the shoulder just to get them out of our way, because we're going to focus on his legs. His feet are tabbed in back here. At the back, you've got a tab in that is on the foot that goes into this orangey gold plastic. So we'll go ahead and untab his feet and rotate them down a little. He's got shin pieces that go up into the body. They don't actually tab in up in there, they just rest in there, but there is a tab here that goes into his knee, if I can get his foot out of the way. So there's a slot on his knee that goes into that tab. We'll go ahead and rotate his foot forward, rotate his heel back, and then close up his leg piece. There's a tab, there's a slot, snap, snap. And then we'll just rotate his legs down like this. Do the same thing on the other side. Get his leg oriented, snap this in, do his feet. So you're basically just straightening his leg out and getting it the way you want it. We're going to rotate his body up so that way we have the room to spin this around, and then we'll rotate his head down. And we'll go ahead and fold his arms back so they're out of our way. It's come undone a little bit already. I'll go ahead and raise the camera up actually because he's starting to get tall. Are you going to stand or are you too? Here, let me flop this over for now. There. Should stand long enough for my purposes. Alright, so there is a panel here that is the base of his tail and it tabs in here via this slot. Rotate this around his head, and then you're going to fold this forward while you're folding his head back. And there is a round feature here that's going to clip over this, and then there's a big old tab in front of his head that's going to clip into this slot in the back of his dino head like that. And then we'll collapse the rest of this, and there is a tab on each side of this tail piece that's going to plug into the slots here in the back. For mine, I don't know if it's just my copy or if it's universal, but for mine, I get one pegged in and the other one's out. I peg the other one in and then it pops out on this side, so it doesn't sit in both of them. I don't know if I need to just flex this plastic a little bit so that way it's holding onto it right, but it doesn't really bother me that much. We'll rotate his robot arms up all the way now so that way we can detach his chest pieces, rotate the chest piece out so that way this dead chest eye is exposed, and then just keep pushing the arm up so it stays out of the way and cover his dino eye with this dead eye. And then there's a tab in the back of this panel that'll go into a slot in the front of his dinosaur hand and fill in the side like that. Then we're going to rotate his shoulder down, rotate his arm up at the shoulder, and then rotate it down, close his claws up, and rotate his wrist. so that his elbow is oriented properly. And there you've got one side of him done. So we'll go ahead and do the other side. We'll disconnect the side panel, rotate it out, swing it down all the way, plug the hand into the tab, fill in that side. I think I have it rotated at the wrong angle. There we go. And then we'll rotate his shoulder down, rotate his arm up at the shoulder, spin it around, fold his hand in, and rotate his wrist. And there we have Dinobot in his robot mode. The tail can, like I said, you can keep it plugged in the whole time. But I took it off just to get it out of the way, and then that's how all his weapons would store on his back in robot mode. So if I hadn't removed it when I did, I would have removed it now, so it's out of the way, because we'll show that off when we show off his accessories. Now we'll take a look at that sculpting. He's got his head is sculpted in that orange cold plastic, and his face, I believe, is just painted blue with the eyes in red, and then you've got a couple of black accents. The face sculpt looks really good. That's very Dinobot, just very nice. The shoulders are molded in gold plastic, so they didn't need painted. Then there's no paint on his forearms at all. You've got the blue and gold accents on the side of his chest, as well as the all-white dead eye for his chest that you saw on the back of his legs in robot or Dino mode. Gold paint on his waist piece, kind of like a bone detail there. Then you've got some orange paint on the thighs for accents. His legs have some of that brown paint from Dino mode on them to kind of blend into the dinosaur belly. And then his legs are molded in that orange plastic with feet in brown and heels in orange. Coming off the back of his legs have that orange stripe painted also. And then that's pretty much it for paint, other than the brown from the dino stuff hanging out back there. Articulation wise, his head is on a ball joint, so you can do the full 360. You can look up that far, down that far, and he has a decent tilt, which is good. His shoulder can do a full 360. It can move out a little over 90 degrees, so it's got a little higher shoulder bend there. And then you've got a bicep swivel just under that shoulder ball. It can do a full 360, a little over 90 at the elbow, and then the wrist has the swivel that the Dino mode ankles did. So you've got a swivel there, and then his hands, the toes of the Dino mode will open and close. They'll open up fully for Dino mode, and they will close to this degree for robot mode, for holding his weapons and any other purposes you may have for them. I'm trying to rotate his forearm, but I'm just getting his wrist. These shoulder, the biceps are pretty stiff. His waist will rotate, but because of the transformation, it's one of those weird ones where it's anchored in the back instead of the middle. So if you're only doing something like that, it'll look pretty okay. Once you get towards about 90 degrees or so, it'll look weird, but you shouldn't be rotating the chest that much anyway. Universals on the hips. You've got forward movement. Well, let me zoom out here. Thank you, camera. Thank you. You got forward movement all the way. The backward movement is hindered by this detail for Dino mode, so you have to spread it out if you want it to go back at all. As far as keeping it straight and going back, that's as far as you get. So the farther back you go, the more you gotta get it out to the side. You've got a thigh swivel. Goes all the way around. You've got knee bend for a little over 90 degrees, just a taste, just a hair. And then you've got your ankle tilts, and it can rock forward and back a little bit due to the way it transforms. So you've got up to there and back to there, and then you can move the heel down if you need to for anything due to transformation. That pretty much covers his articulation. We'll go ahead and take a look at his accessories. I'm actually gonna move my camera down a little bit. There. And I want to try to get him stable. Okay, so his tail is his accessories, and you just crack it in half. There's a seam, and inside the tail, his sword is stored. His sword has a tab here for holding it like an actual sword, and that will go into a notch so the sword plugs in a specific way. And then with the tail, you've got 2 slots and 2 tabs to hold it together. Same thing for the base of the tail too. There's a little notch in there that you can see that'll help you orientate that properly. So you could take the sword out and put this back on his back if you wanted, but this is his spinny shield. It doesn't have a spinny gimmick unless you just want to turn the peg in his hand, but you can peg it into his hand and then kind of close his hands on it a little bit, and there he's got his spinny shield in hand. And then we'll take his hand and open it. You can plug it in like this. You cannot plug it in like that. My bad. The tab goes down farther than I thought it did, so it's pretty much going to prevent that. But you just plug the tab into that hexagonal port in his hand, close his fingers around it, and there he is with both of his weapons. The sword is molded in orange, painted purple, which like I said, I'd rather it have been silver, or maybe even just like black or orange. You know, just mold it in orange and paint the handle black. That would have been okay with me. And then this has no paint on it whatsoever. So there you go. There you have him in his robot mode. We'll go ahead and take a look at the size comparisons next. Alrighty, starting off size comparisons here, we have him with the Rubik's Cube, silvery Rubik's Cube. So he got reasonably tall, as you'll see in the size comparisons. He's a reasonably tall Voyager. Here he is with Gormagala statue. Here he is with the Bumblebee, so they're about the same height there. And last Voyager review we did was Cyclonus, so there he is with Voyager Cyclonus. Cyclonus is you know, I keep calling them medium-sized Voyagers. I'm not sure. I swear I have one that's taller than these guys. I think it might have been Studio Series Megatron that was taller. So there are taller Voyagers, but these are pretty standard Voyagers. And then, just because this is faceplant, just because this is the last main cast Maximal from the original show, I decided to go ahead and grab all the other Maximals off my shelf for a one-time group comparison. So we'll just go put them all on the table together. So we got everyone, and we can't forget his best buddy, Rat Trap. And we'll lower the camera. So there's your main Maximal cast in Kingdom, and that's nice. I never watched the Kingdom show. Like, I've heard that Scorponok and Waspinator aren't even in it. So as far as I'm aware, just by the packaging, Dinobot is a Predacon in the Kingdom show, and I don't know if he ever goes Maximal or not, because he started out as a Predacon in episode 1 of the original show. But as far as my memory is concerned, as far as my brain is concerned, Dinobot is a Maximal, and he belongs with these guys. So there you go. Alrighty, final thoughts wise, is this the perfect Dinobot? No. The Masterpiece is about as close to perfect Dinobot as you can get to the original show, and even then the Dino mode has some issues. Is this a good Dinobot for $30? Yes, definitely yes. This Dinobot, it kicks a lot of booty for a $30 figure. I know that the Masterpiece was 200 and something, if I'm not mistaken. If you get the official KO of it's probably 80 to $100. But yeah, so for $30, what they were able to do with this figure, I think they did a really good job. The only area it really is lacking in is some paint, which is, you know, that's part of the budget, because this would need painted, and I believe he's got some blue in his legs somewhere and stuff like that. But it is definitely not bad for a $30 figure at all. We'll go ahead and take his weapons out of his hands real quick, so that way they're not in the way. For what it is and the price you pay for it, I don't think you're going to be disappointed in this Dinobot if you have any kind of critical thinking / understanding skills. If you're upset by this Dinobot, then you either do not understand price points or your expectations are just unreasonably high, and those are issues with you, not the figure. So there he is in his robot mode, looking cool. The review coming out after this is going to be Earthrise Wheeljack, because I've run out of Kingdom Deluxes. I think last Monday was Smoke Screens, so we've already we've already kind of established that, I guess. But officially, yeah, I'm out of Kingdom Deluxes, and if I got any more, they would go up as a surprise review, a random review. It wouldn't be in the schedule. So next week is going to be Inferno, which is my last Kingdom Voyager. Then after that, I'll be doing the Kingdom Leaders. And so we'll be working through Earthrise / Siege Deluxes. I'm just going to grab a Deluxe. And then I'm also going to sprinkle in those re-released Headmasters that came out, that were re-released from the Titans Return line, because I got them at a similar time, so those will be sprinkled in. I've got Weird Wolf and Brainstorm, and then I've got some of the Netflix exclusive stuff, like I got the Netflix Impactor, so he'll be in there. And then after I run out of Deluxes in the War for Cybertron, I am going to just be doing Voyagers and Leaders until I get close to being done with those, and then I'm going to move into the Studio Series Deluxes. Gonna have the Cybertron upgrade Optimus Prime that was a retool of Ultra Magnus. That'll be in there because that's a Siege leader. Just kind of thinking out loud here, guys. I apologize. But yeah, so stuff's coming up. I still got lots of stuff to film, and I'll have things coming in. My KO MP44 arrived at a sort facility, so we'll see how far he makes it this time without getting stopped in customs and cursed. And if all goes well, I could have him in a week or two up on the channel. If you like the video, give it a like. If you like the video and want to see more, subscribe to my channel. I got links to playlists in the description. If it's a War for Cybertron, it'll have that link. If it's a Studio Series, it'll have that link. And if it's third party or KO, it'll have that link. And then, like Wednesday's review last week, that comparison, it's just going to have my Twitter link. But I do have a Twitter link. If you follow me on Twitter, I try to, the day before something's going up, post a picture. So there'll be pictures on Sundays and Thursdays for the usual reviews, Tuesdays if I do a Wednesday, and then if I end up filming something that I get new, you'll know a day in advance that it's coming out. Other than that, I got nothing. So I will see you guys next time for Earthrise Wheel.